Ohio. That means good morning, I think. Um, it is another day, and I have English class to teach at 1:30, so I am making my way over to the church. Although I'm really early, so I'm gonna have to find some random stuff to do between now and then. I've gotten some questions online, which is kind of interesting, about the idea of the nation needing to be forgiven, and asking where that guilt comes from. It's not so much that I've seen the people here are guilty, but it's just that the nations around them haven't accepted or forgiven them for their participation in World War II, among other things, and their general sense of needing to be independent and different from the rest of Asian culture. So I guess that's where that's coming from. I got thinking about that whole concept with one of my conversations with Anne, and she was talking about it a little bit, just in relation to the fact that I was going to so many different countries, and how she was telling me how the other countries would see Japan and may ask me about the Japanese people in that sort of light. So that's why I got thinking about it to begin with. Yep. Okay, let's hope this is working. This is how you open one of these. You pull this part all the way around, like that, and then you pull off this side, and you pull off this side, and then the seaweed just wraps right back around it, like that. And that way the seaweed doesn't get fogged, like smushy because of the rice, because it never actually touches the rice, because there's an extra layer of plastic. And you don't tear it apart completely when you're trying to open it. Yay! Funky green thing. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but I'm gonna try it. I was just in a store to buy this because I was hungry, and it occurred to me that they talk a lot, even after they understand that you have no idea what they're saying. And I wonder how often we do that in America. Like, I know when I worked at Walmart, even when people came in and they were like, they don't speak any English because they speak Spanish or French or whatever. And I just kept talking at them like I did everyone else, in hopes that in some way they would understand something I said. On the other side of that, it's kind of funny to be like, they're still talking and I still have no idea what they're saying. But I'll just keep smiling and hope they're not asking a question I need to answer. Okay, so I was lost for just a second there, but I got unlost because there are these places here called pachinkos. Don't go in them. They're like all of Las Vegas condensed into one place, and they smell really bad. Mostly like cigarette smoke, but there are other unidentifiable smells in them as well. Anyhow, they're good for one reason though, is that they're tall, and they have big red banners at the tops of them, so you can find them really easily while you're walking through all these other really tall buildings that you can't identify. So they help get unlost. It's nice. Okay, so I was a little bit lost for a long time there. Well, not really a long time, a little bit of time. But I have gotten recently, hold on, I'm crossing a street. I've gotten recently unlost because there are these buildings here, these places called pachinkos. Do not go in them. They are like all of Las Vegas sort of condensed into one building, and they smell sort of like, well, a lot like cigarette smoke, but then there are other smells that I'm not sure what they are. I went in one once, just asked for directions, never doing that again. Anyhow, the one thing they are really good for is that they're tall, and they have big red banners at the top of them, so you can find them, and then you know where you are, because they're generally right next to train stations, and if you can find the train station, you can get unlost. Yep. So it looks like there's a flea market being set up over here. I'm gonna hang out here and see what happens. So, food has funny sizes here. Like, there are like tiny little sweet peppers that taste just like regular sweet peppers, except they're like tiny. And then there are strawberries that are the size of kiwis. It's kind of interesting, the different sizes of things. Totally just got asked by the police for my passport, and they wrote down a whole bunch of stuff, and then they talked to me about something. They asked what my job was, and then they asked why I was here, and then they said something about the town, but I'm not really sure what, and then they apologized, said no problem, and left. So the police followed me and stopped me again, asked to see my passport again, and then asked me what my name was because they forgot to write it down the first time. Yep. Okay, cats with short tails. The tails aren't bobbed, they're just genetically shorter. So they have the same amount of bones in their tail, but they're just very, very small. My name, Alicia. Sha, like rickshaw. It means with wheels. So when the little kids found out that my name was Alicia, they were all like, but she doesn't have wheels. It was funny. Sorry, we're about to go to dinner, so I don't have much time and I have a lot to tell you. It was a really cool class. It was a lot of fun. It goes from like 1:30 to like 6, and there were like 3 classes. The adult classes all talked about me and asked me questions so that they could practice their English, because apparently I'm a great topic. All the other kids just really liked seeing me being a foreigner and speaking English, encouraged them that speaking English is a good thing and to not be shy about it. Okay, off to dinner. Okay, so that was good. The food was great. I think I spent an entire week's worth of food budget on that meal. But it was good food, and it was fun to hang out with people, speak English for a while, and learn about the differences in education and how you teach, and the differences in private school and public school, and how they have schools where like it's just for like sports and they don't really care if you learn anything else, and they all know that you're not, and it's okay. Because there's this one thing that you do, and it's sports, and that's what you're gonna be, and so they don't see why you need to learn anything else. Which is a cultural thing, and it's interesting. But I'm getting a lot of really weird looks right now, so I'm gonna turn this off for a little bit. Okay, less people. So we were talking about, I was at dinner with 3 English teachers, 2 of which teach at a private school and 1 at a public school. And we were talking about how like in public school, you're teaching English, but not really. Like you're teaching the finer points of grammar and the in-depth things about literature, but they can't actually talk at all. Like there's no conversational English going on. And then in the private schools, it's all, they do grammar and the higher stuff, but mostly it's conversational. And the differences of why they're teaching the kids these things, and is it just, you know, to say their school teaches it and to give this face about, you know, having all these programs and things, or is it, you know, to actually help people out so that they can speak English. So it's actually kind of a lot like American schools. if you think about it. But it was fun to talk to them about that and learn things about that, and they're all Christians, and so there was faith in God just sort of put in there without having it be the focus of the conversation or anything like that, which I haven't had in a long time, which is nice to just sit with Christians and talk about something, just everyday kind of things, without having it have to be set aside time just to talk about God, because we're all Christians. We can just be people too, which is nice. That God can just be part of our lives and still the focal point, but not like to the detriment of the rest of our lives, if that makes any sense at all. Yep. Okay, I forgot one more thing. The English classes at church are an outreach tool, so the last 5 to 10 minutes of each class, Sensei comes in and talks about the Bible and tells Bible stories, or the teacher reads from a children's Bible to the children. And Sensei shared a witnessing tool, which I've seen a version of in the United States, but I thought I'd show you because I think it's kind of cool. So here we go. Dirt. So basically, it's a picture like this. And this is us down here on Earth. And this is God up here. And He's in heaven. And we want to get to God. And so we do all kinds of really good stuff. And some of us do more good stuff than other people, but never enough to get to heaven. But God, He saw us and He came down to earth. Like that. And He gave His Son, Jesus. And Jesus put up a cross to cover all of our sins and everything that was short, that didn't make us get to heaven. And His cross was tall enough. And if we accept it, we can go to heaven with God.